Hey there, this is AppleKnows, the place where reality is far stranger than fiction. You might think you've seen it all, but tonight, I'm going to tell you some things that'll make you question what you thought you knew about the world. No theories. No conspiracies. Just raw, verified facts that sound absolutely impossible. Let's start with this: there's a jellyfish that doesn't die of old age. I'm serious. The Turritopsis dohrnii, also known as the immortal jellyfish, has the ability to revert its cells back to an earlier stage of life whenever it's threatened or injured. Essentially, it can restart its life cycle over and over again. Scientists have no idea how many times it's done this in the wild, but theoretically, this creature could live forever unless something eats it first. And speaking of strange forms of survival, let me tell you about a tiny creature called the tardigrade. This microscopic animal can live in the vacuum of space, survive boiling water, and endure radiation thousands of times stronger than what would kill a human. It's so tough that scientists revived tardigrades that had been frozen for over 30 years, and they just started moving again. Like nothing happened. Now, let's move from the micro to the cosmic. Did you know that there's a planet out there that literally rains diamonds? It's called 55 Cancri. On that planet, the carbon pressure is so extreme that instead of water or ice, diamonds fall from the sky. Imagine walking outside and seeing actual gemstones pelting the ground. Earth suddenly feels cheap, doesn't it? But not everything amazing is out there in space, some of it's right beneath your feet. Deep inside the Earth, around 1,800 miles down, there's a layer of molten metal that moves so violently it creates our planet's magnetic field. And here's the wild part: this field actually flips. North becomes south and south becomes north. It's happened hundreds of times in Earth's history, and scientists say we're overdue for another flip. If that happens soon, your compass might suddenly point the wrong direction, and satellite communication could go haywire for years. Let's talk about the human body for a second. Your stomach gets a new lining every 3 to 4 days. If it didn't, the acid inside it would digest you. The same acid that breaks down steak or bread is strong enough to melt metal. And yet, it's contained inside you right now, doing its job quietly. You are, in a very real sense, a self-digesting organism constantly rebuilding itself to stay alive. And here's something that'll mess with your sense of time: Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. That's not an exaggeration. The Great Pyramid was completed around 2560 BC. Cleopatra ruled Egypt in 30 BC. That's about 2,500 years apart, while only about 2,000 years separate her from us. The ancient world wasn't a single time, it was an ocean of ages we've crammed into one idea. Oh, and speaking of ancient, the oldest known living organism on Earth is neither a tree nor an animal, it's a patch of seagrass in the Mediterranean that's estimated to be around 100,000 years old. It's been quietly photosynthesizing since before modern humans even existed. It's alive right now, older than every story we've ever told. And now, one of my personal favorites: in your lifetime, you will shed about 40 pounds of skin. Every minute, your body loses roughly 30,000 to 40,000 skin cells. Most of the dust floating around your room? Yeah, it's you. You've been living in a tiny storm of yourself this whole time. But here's where it gets truly strange. There's a place in Africa called the Danakil Depression, sometimes referred to as the gateway to hell. Temperatures there reach 50 degrees Celsius (122 degrees Fahrenheit), and pools of acid bubble on the surface in colors so surreal they look like another planet. Scientists say it's one of the most unearthly places on Earth, and if we ever find life on Mars, it might look exactly like the microbes that managed to survive there. Let's start with a sound you can't hear. In space, sound doesn't travel the way it does on Earth, but that doesn't mean it's silent. NASA has captured the electromagnetic vibrations of planets and converted them into audible frequencies. When you listen to the sound of Saturn, it's an eerie, ghost-like hum, almost like a choir singing in a vacuum. It's not science fiction, it's the real voice of the cosmos, and it's haunting. Now imagine this: there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way. NASA estimates around 100 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy. Meanwhile, scientists at Yale counted over 3 trillion trees on Earth. That's 7 times more trees than stars. So next time you walk through a forest, remember you're standing among something more numerous than the night sky. But let's go deeper, inside you. Did you know that about 90% of the cells in your body aren't even human? They're bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms living on and inside you. You're more of an ecosystem than an individual. Your gut alone has over 100 trillion bacteria, and without them, you couldn't even digest food or produce certain hormones. You're not just a person, you're a living galaxy of microbes. And speaking of life itself, there's a fungus that can control the mind of an insect. The Ophiocordyceps fungus infects ants, hijacks their nervous system, and forces them to climb high onto vegetation. Then it kills them and grows a stalk out of their heads to spread more spores. It's so effective that entire colonies of ants have evolved ways to detect and remove infected members before the fungus spreads. Nature literally invented zombie mind control long before humans did. Now, let's leave Earth for a second. Astronomers have discovered a planet called HD 189733b, where it rains glass. Sideways. The winds blow at 5,400 miles per hour, 7 times faster than sound. The air is so hot that it turns silicate particles into molten glass, which the wind then hurls across the atmosphere. Imagine standing there, watching shards of glass storm horizontally through blue clouds. You wouldn't last a second, but it's breathtaking to imagine. Back on Earth, time itself isn't as steady as you think. The tallest people actually age slightly faster than shorter people. It's all because of Einstein's theory of relativity. Gravity affects time. The closer you are to the center of Earth's gravity, the slower time moves. So your head is aging faster than your feet. The difference is microscopic, but real. You are literally aging unevenly every single second. Now let's talk about something that defies logic: the human brain. It's the most complex object we know in the entire universe. There are more connections in one human brain than there are stars in the Milky Way, about 100 trillion synapses firing every second. And yet, we barely understand how it works. What's even crazier is that your brain can rewire itself. Lose part of it, and another region can take over its functions. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's one reason why humans are such resilient survivors. Here's a thought that'll twist your mind: every 2 minutes, humans take more photographs than all of humanity did during the entire 19th century. Think about that: your phone's camera has already captured more images than entire generations who lived before digital memory existed. The modern world is documenting itself at an impossible rate, and 90% of all the data ever created by humans was made in just the last decade. But let's not forget, the universe doesn't care about our sense of scale. A teaspoon of a neutron star would weigh about 6 billion tons. That's the equivalent of Mount Everest compressed into something you could hold in your hand if your hand somehow survived. And here's a bonus fact: scientists once recorded a burst of radio waves that released more energy in 1 millisecond than the sun emits in 3 days. No one knows exactly what caused it. Some say collapsing stars. Others whisper it could be something else, something we don't yet understand. The truth is, the universe is terrifyingly real, magnificently bizarre, and endlessly mysterious. And the more you learn, the less sense it makes, but the more beautiful it becomes. Let's start with something small yet extraordinary: bananas. You might not believe this, but bananas share about 60% of their DNA with humans. That's right. You and the fruit sitting on your kitchen counter have a lot more in common than you think. It's not that bananas are secretly human, it's that DNA is the fundamental code of life, and all living things share deep, ancient roots. Life, in its essence, is one long family tree, and you're related to everything that's ever lived. Now, speaking of connections, when you look up at the night sky, every single atom in your body was once part of a star. You are literally made of stardust. The carbon, oxygen, and iron in your blood were all forged in the fiery cores of ancient stars that exploded billions of years ago. So when people say we're part of the universe, it's not poetry, it's chemistry. You are the universe, observing itself. Here's something even crazier: there's a species of squid that can change not just its color, but the polarization of light it reflects. That means it can send hidden signals that only other squids can see, like having its own private language written in light. And they do it instantly, through microscopic cells that expand and contract like biological pixels. Nature basically invented living camouflage long before humans dreamed of invisibility cloaks. But invisibility isn't the only strange power in the animal world. There's a shrimp, the mantis shrimp, that can punch with the force of a bullet. Its claws accelerate faster than a .22 caliber round, creating tiny explosions underwater called cavitation bubbles that briefly reach the temperature of the sun's surface. And yes, they use it to crack open shells. Imagine an animal the size of your hand generating the power of a miniature star just to eat lunch. Now, hold on, because this next one sounds impossible. There are more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than there are atoms on Earth. That's true math. The number of possible combinations in a standard deck of 52 cards is 52 factorial, or about 8.06 times 10. That means every time you shuffle a deck, chances are no one in history has ever created that exact sequence before. Every shuffle is, statistically, a unique event in the universe. Speaking of rarity, did you know there are places where time seems to stop? At the edge of a black hole, gravity becomes so extreme that time slows almost to zero. From an outside perspective, anything falling into a black hole appears frozen forever at its edge, never actually crossing over. But from the inside, if you could survive, it would all happen in an instant. Time itself becomes distorted, stretched, and shredded. Black holes aren't just holes in space, they're holes in reality. Let's bring it back to something you can hold: ice. It sounds ordinary, but under immense pressure, water can form at least 19 different types of ice, each with its own crystal structure. Some are denser, some are lighter, and a few can only exist on other planets. On distant moons like Europa, ice might be so compressed that it behaves like metal. We think of water as simple, but it hides entire worlds of physics inside it. Here's another strange truth about your body: your heart creates enough pressure when it pumps to squirt blood up to 30 feet. It beats about 100,000 times a day, moving roughly 7,500 liters of blood through 60,000 miles of vessels. That's enough to circle the Earth 2.5 times. And yet, you don't even notice it until it stops. You're a walking masterpiece of biological engineering that works tirelessly, silently, and miraculously. And then there's lightning. Every second, about 100 bolts strike the Earth. That's nearly 8 million flashes every day. A single bolt can heat the air to 30,000 degrees Celsius, 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. In 2020, scientists recorded the longest lightning bolt ever, stretching over 477 miles across the sky. Imagine a streak of electricity connecting two cities in one blinding instant. That's the scale of nature's raw power. But perhaps the strangest fact of all is this: we still don't know what 95% of the universe is made of. Everything we can see, planets, stars, galaxies, even you and me, makes up only about 5% of the cosmos. The rest is dark matter and dark energy, invisible forces shaping everything, yet completely beyond our comprehension. It's like reading a book when 19 out of 20 pages are blank and still trying to guess the plot. This is the world you live in, impossible, yet true. You've only begun to glimpse the edges of reality, and the deeper you go, the less you'll trust your own understanding. Let's start where you least expect it, inside your mind. Your brain doesn't see the world as it truly is. Every color, every sound, every sensation you think you experience is a reconstruction, a simulation built by your brain from limited signals. In fact, what you see when you open your eyes is about 100 milliseconds in the past. You never see reality in real time, you see a delayed version of it. The world you're experiencing right now already happened. And that's not all your memories? They're not reliable. Every time you recall a memory, your brain rewrites it. You're not replaying the past, you're recreating it. That means some of your most vivid memories might be part fact, part fiction, reshaped each time you remember them. You are, unknowingly, the editor of your own history. Now, let's move to something that'll make your skin crawl, in a good way. Deep in the ocean, there are creatures that glow in total darkness, lighting themselves with bioluminescence. Some fish use this light to attract prey. Others use it as camouflage, blending with the faint sunlight above. But one species, the anglerfish, has a light produced by bacteria living inside its body. Without those bacteria, the fish can't glow. Without the fish, the bacteria can't survive. It's a perfect, symbiotic partnership between two completely different forms of life. Speaking of the ocean, did you know that more people have been to the moon than the deepest part of Earth's ocean? The Mariana Trench reaches nearly 7 miles down, and the pressure there is over 1,000 times what you feel at sea level. Yet life still thrives there, strange, alien-like creatures that glow, float, and feed on the falling remains of the world above. We know more about Mars than we do about our own seabed. And since we're talking about extremes, here's something cosmic. If you took a piece of neutron star the size of a sugar cube, it would weigh as much as all of humanity combined. That's how dense collapsed stellar matter is. Inside that tiny cube are atoms crushed so tightly that their protons and electrons have merged into neutrons. It's matter pushed to the very edge of physical possibility. Now, back on Earth, there's a plant that can count. The Venus flytrap doesn't just snapshot when something touches it, it waits for a second touch. Why? Because it can tell the difference between a falling raindrop and a real insect. It literally counts electrical impulses before deciding whether to close. And that's a plant. A living organism without a brain that can perform basic arithmetic. Want something even more disturbing? Your body glows. Humans emit visible light, it's just too dim for the human eye to see. Scientists discovered that our bodies naturally give off photons as part of metabolic processes. The glow peaks in the afternoon and fades at night. You are a literal source of light, radiating softly all the time, invisible only because your eyes aren't sensitive enough to see it. Let's talk about something so small yet so powerful that it defines reality itself: quantum particles. In the quantum world, an object can exist in multiple places at once. Electrons don't travel like tiny balls, they exist as clouds of probability, spread across space until observed. Observation collapses the wave into one reality. That means reality, as we know it, depends on whether or not it's being watched. Let that sink in. You might not just live in the universe, you might be helping to create it every time you look. And here's a fact about life that's as beautiful as it is unsettling. There are mushrooms that can communicate. Networks of fungal filaments beneath forests, called the mycorrhizal network, connect trees together in vast underground webs. Trees send chemical signals through these fungal threads to warn each other about drought, disease, or insect attacks. Scientists call it the Wood Wide Web. Nature invented a kind of biological internet long before humans even thought of the digital one. But let's zoom out again to the universe itself. It's expanding faster and faster, and no one knows why. The force driving it is called dark energy, and it makes up about 68% of the universe. It's invisible, unstoppable, and completely beyond our comprehension. What we do know is that galaxies are racing away from us at accelerating speeds, and one day, far in the future, all other galaxies will fade beyond our visible horizon. The night sky will go dark. Future civilizations, if they exist, might never even know there was a universe beyond their own galaxy. The truth, my friend, is that we're living in a moment of cosmic light, a temporary window between nothingness and silence. Everything you see, everything you are, exists only because the universe allows it for now. Let's begin with a truth hidden inside your heartbeat. Your heart doesn't beat in perfect rhythm, it fluctuates constantly. And that chaos, that small irregularity, is what keeps you alive. A perfectly steady heartbeat would mean death. In other words, the disorder inside you is proof of life. Nature thrives on imperfection, it's how things adapt, survive, evolve. The beauty of life isn't in symmetry. It's in the controlled chaos that keeps it beating. Now, think about this: every second, somewhere in your body, a cell divides. And every time it does, the DNA inside it unravels and copies itself, a molecule nearly 2 meters long packed inside something microscopic. Your DNA, if stretched end to end, would reach from the Earth to the Sun and back 70 times. That's inside just one human being. You carry a library of cosmic proportions in every single cell, and you don't even feel it. But your DNA isn't just yours. About 8% of it comes from ancient viruses. Over millions of years, viruses that infected your ancestors left traces of their genetic code behind, which became part of our genome. So in a sense, you're part human, part ancient viral archive, a biological history of survival written in code. Now here's something most people can't believe: time moves faster on top of a mountain than at sea level. It's not poetic, it's physics. Gravity warps spacetime. The higher you are, the weaker gravity's pull, and the faster time passes. So if you lived on the top of Mount Everest for your entire life, you'd age a few microseconds more than someone at the beach. It's a small difference, but it's proof that time itself bends. And while we're talking about time, here's one that'll mess with your mind: there's a species of shark in the Arctic that can live for over 400 years. The Greenland shark is the longest living vertebrate on Earth. Some of them were alive when the first European settlers arrived in America. Their flesh is toxic, their eyes host parasitic worms, and yet they glide through black, icy water, silent witnesses to centuries of human history they'll never see. But there's something even older: fossilized raindrops. Yes, scientists have found 2.7 billion-year-old marks left by rain. The world back then had no oxygen, no trees, no animals, just ancient skies and alien storms falling on bare rock. Those tiny circular imprints are the echoes of the planet breathing before life took hold. Now, let's travel inside your senses. When you dream, your brain shuts down the logic center and floods you with images and emotions that feel real. But here's what's truly wild: some people dream entirely in black and white. Others can smell and taste inside dreams as if they're awake. And during REM sleep, your body becomes temporarily paralyzed to stop you from acting out your dreams. Every night, you enter a world built by your own mind, and you're powerless inside it. Let's get stranger. There's a lake in Tanzania called Lake Natron that can literally turn animals into stone. The water's pH is so high, almost as caustic as ammonia, that when animals fall in, the minerals preserve them, calcifying their bodies. It's nature's own petrifying mirror. Photographers have found perfectly preserved birds on its shores, as if frozen mid-flight. And since we're talking about death, let's look at something that defies it. In 2015, scientists revived a 30,000-year-old virus from the Siberian permafrost. It came back to life and started infecting amoebas immediately. Don't panic, it's harmless to humans, but it proves something chilling: ancient life can sleep for tens of thousands of years and wake up as if nothing happened. Time doesn't kill everything, it just pauses it. Here's another one: the fingerprints on your fingers aren't unique because of genetics, they form from pressure and movement in the womb. Even identical twins have completely different fingerprints. Your identity was literally shaped by how you moved before you were born. But the universe has its own fingerprints too. Cosmic background radiation, the faint microwave glow left over from the Big Bang, still fills the universe today. Every radio, every TV antenna ever built has picked up part of it. When you see static on an old TV screen, about 1% of that noise is from the birth of the universe itself. You've literally seen the echo of creation. And if that doesn't humble you, this will. Scientists estimate that every second, lightning strikes Earth about 100 times, but every minute, our sun releases more energy than all the lightning that has ever struck Earth throughout its history combined. And yet, the sun is just an average star, one among hundreds of billions, burning silently in the infinite dark. Reality doesn't need imagination to be incredible, it's already far stranger than anything we could make up. And that is where we'll pause. Because some truths aren't meant to be rushed, only absorbed. This has been AppleKnows, reminding you that reality is far stranger, deeper, and more beautiful than any story we could invent. The impossible isn't fantasy, it's the foundation of existence. You are made of stardust, powered by chaos, and surrounded by mysteries so vast that even the universe doesn't seem to understand itself. The next time you breathe, look up at the sky, or feel your heartbeat, remember this: everything is connected. Every second you live, you're standing in the middle of miracles you've been trained to call normal. Stay curious, stay awake, and never stop questioning what you think you know. Because the truth isn't out there, it's everywhere. This is AppleKnows. Until next time.